Hey, I'm Ollie, Team Chain Reaction Cycles nuke proof mechanic. In this episode of Trailside Fixes, we'll look at all things tyre related. Boom. No! Now, punctures are going to be one of the most common mechanicals anybody's going to have on their bike. With the plethora of tyres out there and more people starting to run inserts in their tyres, things can get a little bit trickier. So we're going to show you some quick fixes to just try and speed you up so you can get back on your bike as soon as possible. Now, some multi-tools will have a tubeless tool included within. If it doesn't, you need to make sure you have a tubeless tool with you as well in your hip pack. This one here from Crank Brothers is literally the god of all multi-tools. It has your little prong there, and all you do, you get your little strip, get your little prong, pop it in and pull off like that. And what you want to do is fold it back like that. Then you shove it in the tyre, pull it out, and it gets stuck in that little gap and allows the tyre to seal. Now, depending on the size of slit, you may just want to use one slug, or you can even use 2 slugs if necessary. Either way, these are a quick fix for any tubeless tyre out there. Now, for those of you out there that aren't running tubeless, or the slice in the tyre is too big for the tubeless to seal, then you will have to put an inner tube in. We're going to show you how to do that now. Vital tools, multi-tool to take your wheel off, some tyre levers to take your tyre off, then obviously the all important inner tube. Now, to make life a little bit easier, we're going to flip the bike upside down just to make it easier to remove your wheels. Just be quite careful, because if you've got expensive gear shifters and dropper post shifters like this donor bike does, you don't want to break them. Right, then we'll take the wheel off. Now, good tip is always to put your axle back in there. I've seen many a friend remove the axle and then lose it on the trail side, so definitely always put your axle back in. Another tip is do not press the brake lever of the wheel you've just taken out. If you do, your pads are going to move over, but we'll look at what you can do if that happens in another episode. Now, if there is any air left inside the tyre, just make sure you get it all out. It just makes the removal of the tyre a lot easier. So tubeless tyres are always a little bit tighter than tyres that are designed around inner tubes, especially if you've got an insert in there, they will be very tight. So a little trick is just to get both your thumbs and push them really close together and just pop it just off the bead like that there. Once you've done that, just work your way around the entire tyre, pop in the bead as you go around. Now, once the bead is fully removed, you can see the tyre is really nice and supple on the rim. Just make sure it is all the way off. Then you get your tyre lever, slot it under this side of the bead and just lift it off like that. Now, some people do use 2 tyre levers. If that's the case, you just do it at 2 points like so and pop it off like that. And once it's off, you're just going to want to run it round the tyre just like that. Don't worry about that tyre lever. Run it round like that. Now, as you can see in this tyre, we do have a tyre insert in there, so it does make life a little bit more difficult to put a new tube in. With some tyre inserts, the low profile ones, you can actually use a smaller tube and push the valve through the insert and through the valve hole. You will need an extra long valve on it though. But for the majority of people, you will have to remove the insert. So all you need to do is just pop your things in there, roll it off. It isn't going to be a necessarily clean job because you will have tubeless fluid in there. Pop that to one side, and then the next job is to take your tubeless valve out. So keep your tubeless valve nice and safe, just in case you do choose to go back to being tubeless when you get home. You will need all the bits. So pop it back in your hip bag, and then we'll move on to putting the tube in the tyre. So a little tip when you're placing a tube in your tyre, you're just going to want to pop a little bit of air in there just to make life a little bit easier. So take your valve cap off there, pop it somewhere safe. Ooh, this is a nice tube, nice pump. Ooh. So you don't want to put too much air in there because it will make life difficult to get your tyre back on. So just enough to make the tube round. You're going to want to start with the valve. So pop the valve in there, get your little locking ring. Now an important note is not to tighten that on. You're literally just putting that on to hold the valve in place so it doesn't come back out of the tyre. Once there, stand with your valve upright, get your tube and slot it in like so. Then to get the tyre back on, simply use both hands to roll it back on. Make sure the inner tube doesn't get caught on the side of the rim. If that happens, then you could end up with a pinch flat, in which case you're back to square one. So just work your way around. Now, with tubeless tyres, they tend to get a bit tight near the end. Like so, you can see there, there's still a little bit of tyre there. A little pro tip for you is to work your way back around the tyre to make sure the bead isn't on the rim. As you can see here, the tyre is already slightly beaded, which makes that really tight. So just go back around, pop the bead back off, and then go again. And then you should be able to just get it on with your fingers. Like so. So a little tip as well is because it will move around a lot when you're pumping. Just go up to a tree, lean the wheel against it, and then just stand against it. Just start pumping. Just makes life a little bit easier so it doesn't wobble all over the place. Now keep checking the tyre. You don't want to over pump it obviously, but you want it just enough to bead the tyre so you can carry on your ride. There you go. So if you hear a loud bang, do not panic. That is just the bead popping onto the rim. Obviously a very loud bang, such as the tyre coming off the rim, is a bad thing. That will end your day. So like I say, just watch out for that bead popping, and you can see there, once it's on, you're about the right pressure there. But we'll pop a bit more in. Now once you're pumped up, don't forget your valve cap. Also, don't worry about any tubeless fluid leaking from the tyre. That is completely normal if you do have a tubeless setup. Once you're done, you're going to want to pop your wheel back in your bike. So just undo your axle that you remember to put back in there, that you've not lost. Now you don't need to absolutely crank this on, you just need to use sensible strength. Once it's on, done, Bob's your uncle. Once you're done with your trailside repair, make sure you pack all your tools away and any mesh you've made on the trail, so any inserts you're not using anymore, any used inner tubes, please make sure you take them home with you. We do appreciate trash-free trails. That's it for episode 2. Tune in next time for wheel woes and brake issues.